on a nationwide television show. Did you see it? Well, not only that, it was followed by an act in which this very elderly lady dancer came out of the muscular type, and she danced. Now, you remember it used to be when Fred Astaire would dance and the chorus girls would dance behind him. Do you remember those halcyon days? And he would wear a hi-hat, and and the chorus girls, there was a chorus line. Well, of course, that's all by the boards now. In the roles have been entirely reversed. And now muscular lady dancers come out, and they dance in the middle, and behind them is a row of very thin, wiry young boys, all dressed in very strange-looking clothing, and they are the new chorus girl line. Chorus line. And they're dancing like, what's the matter? You want to hear that? Oh, it's all right. That's exactly what we want. Waltz of the Flowers. It all fits in there because it describes so much of our world. Now, oh boy, speaking of sensitive flowers, this is WOR, AM at FMsville, New York. And, we'll be here until, I'll tell you, I'm curious. That was, I watched that, I watched that show, and I was really, really impressed by this because it's only within the last 6 or 7, maybe 6 or 7 months, but of course the trend has been growing. It's only within this past year or so that the actual exchange of roles between the male and the female has become a formalized institution, literally. I don't know how much driving you do around. One of the more intriguing aspects of this time and place is in the exchange of role in everyday life in America. Now, I ride, for the most part, a motor scooter around. It's really not a motor scooter. I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that term. It's a motorcycle. I ride a motorcycle around, and when you drive a motorcycle around the streets of New York, you have a much closer contact with the traffic in many ways, I'll tell you, than you ever do riding in a car. Most people, when they ride a car, are just vaguely aware of this large vehicle, this block of metal, but this side, that side, they drive along, and the car goes along on a pretty straight line course, and driving an automobile is a pretty cut and dried operation. But a motorcycle, on the other hand, is first of all hated by everybody in cars. I'm sure for a lot of reasons. But boy, I'll tell you, more insane hatreds by ordinarily sane people come out the minute they see somebody who is not behaving the way they behave. That's like riding a cab. That's considered absolutely nutty. Do you know that I would say, I'd like to talk to a cabbie, but I would be willing to bet, speaking of the reversal of roles, that the cab used to be a thing that was really a thing for businessmen, hurried guys. I would say probably a good 75% of cab riders today are angry chicks sitting in the back seat. I believe it. And I tell you this, by riding around the streets of New York constantly, and when you're driving a motorcycle, you are not only aware of the car, you are aware of everything about that car because you better be. One thing you get really attuned to when you ride a motorcycle is sounds of cars. You can tell whether a car is going to be dangerous or not, often by the sound of it. You really can. There's a lot of things you learn, but one of the most, I think, probably significant things is the number of people today. I'd say by far the majority of cars today are driven by women with a man sitting beside them. They have completely reversed their roles. And I think something that is really funnier, really. Now that you can excuse that the wife is picking up the tired businessman. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the date, the obvious date. And you see this steel-jawed chick sitting in the front seat on Friday nights when you're riding along. And boy, I'll tell you, they're insane when it comes to motorcycles. They hate motorcycles. Somehow the motorcycle is a peculiarly masculine statement that really bugs this type. But oh yeah, I was almost killed by a couple of chicks in a car who did exactly. I'll tell you how far the reversal of roles has come. Do you remember the old 47 Mercury diner nut, the diner Marty? The guys that we used to drive with the tails, the squirrel tails flying in the back and the radio going and 9 antennas on the thing and the decals over the side, and they always go, "What are you doing, you wise guy? You want to fight?" That kind of stuff. They're yelling up and down. The New Jersey syndrome. You see them up and down Oh yeah, I think that's a good percentage of the population of Jersey. You see them riding up and down the streets of New York on a Friday night, the poor sad idiots, but they're all over. Now you find the female version of that. The first time I've noticed that. Yeah. These chicks wearing leather jackets. Of course, the scene has been going on for years, but in a different way. But now they have completely taken the role. I'm riding along on my motorcycle, I'm just going along, and there's a car behind me, and to my right, you see, you know where everything is, and we're on a one-way street, namely 2nd Avenue. And we're going down 2nd Avenue, and I'm going along, just going from light to light, and without any warning, my ears pick up this, the sound of the tires doing it, and sure enough, out of the corner of my eye, I see this thing coming like a bat out of hell across my bow. These chicks are just cutting me off for the sheer kicks of it. They go, woo, and I go, shh, I'm pretty good on that little motorcycle now, see, so they couldn't really do it. They couldn't throw me up on the sidewalk, and these chicks, what do you think you are, Marlon Brando, buddy? Ha-ha, Marlon Brando, buddy? Waltz of the Flowers, please. Following this little feminine diatribe. So I hollered, baby, you want to fight? Come on back, you idiots. And they holler, all right. And they're starting to get out. I was ready to go. Sadly enough, they chickened out. It would have been the first true fist fight. Colleen Dewhurst world. Oh, boy. It's a funny scene. What's all that? I can't read a thing. Bring it over here. Now, don't you? You know that I love this kind of stopping everything in the middle of it to give me some trivial information. Big hit record, Sarah Vaughan singing Stella. What's this? What's so funny about that? Stella by Starlight? Sarah Vaughan singing Stella by Starlight? I see. I see what you mean. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Sad, sick world. Well, I don't know. I don't know whether Sarah has her problems or not, but I'll tell you that's pretty interesting. Sarah Vaughan singing Stella by Starlight's big hit record. Well, it's true that there's been all kinds of little in-jokes like this for a long time, but to have it come out this big, There's a man about a house. It's so nice to have a man about the house. And I thought, oh boy, wowee. And I'm sure that the guy who was the saddest ramifications of it all, I'm sure that the poor clown who was singing it had no idea of the in-joke he was perpetrating, because... And then another one, I read a movie starlet is she is quoting, she's talking about the 10 most eligible bachelors in Hollywood. Well, honey, I hate to disillusion you, but out of that 10 most eligible bachelor list, there are 7 of them at least that are not eligible for any... Just forget them, honey. Just forget it. But this is a tough situation. I don't know, where it's going to stop. But these chicks cutting across in front of me, I thought was really a new thing. But on Friday night, if you ride around the town a great deal, you will find that the greatest percentages of the cars, and a large percentage, I shouldn't say the greatest, but a tremendous percentage of cars are driven by the girls who are taking the guy on a date. They literally are. It's quite obvious that they are the ones that are providing the car, and they have picked the date up. And this recessive male is sitting next to them. I expect everything. Well, I'm looking for the corsage on the cummerbund very shortly. I'm really. Oh yeah, it's coming. There's a lot of stuff coming. But let's see. We got a thing here. We better put this on the air before we go any further. This is getting a little. Oh, speaking of a lot of things that are coming. For those of you who haven't heard the news, as of the 10th of February, maybe you didn't know about it, Tony. The show is going to be moved up to 10:15. I will be on from 10:15 until 11, as of the 10th of February. Now, there are many reasons for this. One of the most important reasons for it is that there are countless numbers of people we have found, and this has been all kinds for years, who go to college and one thing or another and just cannot stay up till midnight to listen. And so we're moving up from now until 10:15, and 10:15 till 11 as of the 10th. And by the way, one more thing I must say. I'm amused at all the number of letters from people who have objected. You know, they're writing and say, well, now we can't listen to you anymore because of the TV shows that come on at 10 o'clock. Oh boy. Well, my only feeling is that if what I have to offer, what little it might be, is of any importance to you, you won't mind a little inconvenience. And if you do, well, goodbye and hail, what is it? Hail fellow, well met. So there's a great Army term we have to it too, and I'd love to say here in the air, but it's a little bit late. Or is it early? I don't know if it's late or early for those early. Oh yes, on the subject of this whole phenomenon of me, the greatest thing in the world is me. You're finding that this is beginning to take place in every area. And one of the most subtle areas of all. Hail and farewell. That's it. Very good. Hail and farewell. To those of you who can't follow me to 11:15, from 11:15 to 10:15, hail and farewell. It's been nice knowing you. But don't immediately write to me, as most everybody says, poor WR, they're shoving you around again. They are not. As a matter of fact, the reason is a very important reason, and is that they have found that there are roughly double the number of radio sets that are on at 10:15 as they're on at 11:15. In other words, there's just that many people who have to get up at 6 in the morning who can't sit around and listen to jazzy jokes between 11:15 and midnight. But nevertheless, that's the story. Now, you know, speaking of, I must get back to this thing because it hasn't really been recorded yet as much as it should be. Guys have written endless numbers of books on the pyramid climbers and the status seekers and all that sort of thing. But I think one of the most interesting phenomena of our time, and probably more significant than all the rest of the corporate business and the thing of the status and the other directed and the inner-directed crowds and the lonely crowds and all the rest of it that books have been written endlessly on and plays have been written about, is the growth of meism, which is a very subtle thing, and it's so subtle that sometimes it's often difficult to detect. For example, there was a recent article, and this takes many forms. There was a recent article in the Saturday Evening Post, and the article was about actually it was about poverty. It was about poverty in America, and it particularly among certain sections of our society. And the article was called "The Invisible Americans," and it was about migrant workers and American Indians and so on, people who just were not able to work in our society and were really in dire, tremendous poverty, and something had to be done about it. Well, here's an answer, a letter, which I thought should be conveyed to show this meism growing. Here's an answer, and he says, "What is your magazine trying to do?" This is a letter to the editor. "What is your magazine trying to do? Undermine the peace of mind with socialist or big government propaganda? Everyone knows that in a capitalist economy where everyone follows his own profit-making motive, all society will automatically benefit." In there, at that point, I will insert, "Oh yeah. It is the duty of our business leaders to automate for higher profits. If a few million inefficient people don't fit, well, survival of the fittest, you know." I won't even give this guy. Now, I presume, of course, this is a political philosophy, by the way, that's being expressed by many people today. If they don't make it, too bad. There's another way of putting it. I got mine, now you get yours, buddy. Well, this is a new thing, really. Oh, it's always been with us, but it has not yet, in our society, achieved the respectability that it has today. So don't come around and say, well, people have always been that way. Sure, they've always been that way, but they've always had to be sneaky about it. They've always had to say it to themselves, hell with him, you know. But when you have a giant political slogan that literally says that, then you've got something else going. And it's got all kinds of ramifications. Now, I suppose, of course, that this letter writer has plans to get rid of these, quote, few million inefficient, unfit people. Yes. There was another society I remember that had a thing they called the ultimate solution when they had a lot of people that they claimed didn't fit into their society. So you know, there are all kinds of things are beginning to develop now. One of the most amusing facets of this deification of the selfish person in our time is in the show business world. Now,